Good evening, everyone. Have you ever noticed how some days feel emotionally heavier than others, even when nothing dramatic has happened? You wake up, you do your work, you reply to messages, you continue your routine, and yet something inside feels tired. Not physically tired alone, but emotionally dense, as if your thoughts are carrying invisible weight. I think many of us experience this quietly. And for a long time, I believed I simply needed to become stronger or more productive to overcome those heavy days. I thought healing meant fixing myself quickly, but over time I began realizing something softer and more human. Not every heavy day means something is wrong with you. No, I don't agree with it. Sometimes your mind is simply asking for lightness. And strangely enough, I began understanding this better while reflecting on places like Ubud. So now when people think of Ubud, they usually picture beautiful rice terraces, luxury villas, yoga retreats, cafes, tropical rain, or jungle views. And those things are beautiful, but what fascinated me most about Ubud was not only its beauty, it was its emotional atmosphere. Some places feel emotionally loud, and some places feel emotionally light. Ubud feels light, not because life there is perfect, but because the environment itself encourages slowness. And I think modern people underestimate how deeply environments affect emotions. In many cities today, our minds are constantly overstimulated with notifications, traffic, deadlines, comparison, pressure, noise. Sometimes even rest becomes performative. We scroll while eating, we think while resting, we compare while healing, and eventually the nervous system becomes exhausted without us realizing it. Then one day we suddenly ask, why does everything feel heavy? But perhaps the question is not, what is wrong with me? Perhaps the question is, what kind of environment has my mind been surviving in? That is why places like Ubud feel emotionally different. When you walk through the famous Tagalalang rice terraces, Tega Lalang rice terraces, you notice something immediately. And you know what? It's nature that moves slowly there. The rice fields do not rush. The wind does not rush. Even the silence feels like that they're trying to teach you how to stay patient, how to keep patience. But suddenly the breathing changes and you stop mentally sprinting for a moment. I think many people travel searching for entertainment. But sometimes what we truly need is regulation, a place that reminds the body and mind that survival mode is not the only way to live. And this is why some places feel healing, not magically, not spiritually in an unrealistic sense, but psychologically and emotionally. The nervous system responds to environment. Take the Campo Han Ridge Walk, for example. It is simply a walking trail, yet people feel emotionally lighter after walking there. You know why? Because nature interrupts mental noise. When you are surrounded by greenery, open skies, moving leaves, and fresh air, your mind temporarily stops absorbing constant digital pressure. And for many people, that pause feels unfamiliar. Sometimes we confuse peace with emptiness because we have lived in emotional overstimulation for too long. And I also think heavy days happen when we suppress too much internally. Many people continue functioning while emotionally carrying unspoken grief, career pressure, loneliness, fear about the future, comparison, burnout. We become skilled at appearing fine. How many of us say that we're just perfectly fine, we're doing good? But internally, the emotional weight keeps collecting quietly. And then one random morning feels heavier than usual. Not because of one event, but because the mind has been overloaded for months. This is why I believe healing cannot happen through productivity alone. You cannot schedule emotional peace like a meeting. You have to create conditions where the mind feels safe enough to soften. And this is what fascinated me about Ubud's wellness culture. People from around the world visit Ubud for yoga, meditation, journaling cafes, wellness retreats, or spiritual reflection. Some people criticize this trend and call it escapism. But honestly, I think many people are simply searching for permission to slow down. They just want to slow down. They need the permission. Because modern life rarely rewards softness. We reward speed, achievement, constant availability. But human beings, they are not machines. Some days feel heavier because your inner world is asking for recovery that your outer life keeps postponing. And perhaps healing begins when we stop treating ourselves like projects that need fixing. One thing I deeply love about Ubud is how art exists naturally there. The Ubud art market is filled with handmade crafts, paintings, woven textures, wood carvings, and colors that feel alive. And watching local artists work reminds you of something important. Creation itself can be healing, not for perfection, not for social media, not for validation, but because creativity slows thought. And creativity here, I mean like painting, writing, journaling, music, photography, storytelling. These things help emotions move instead of remaining trapped internally. Many of us ignore it because of the busy schedule. And maybe that is why heavy emotions become lighter in artistic spaces. Even the sacred places in Ubud carry a sense of emotional stillness. And at Tirtha Impul temple, people participate in water purification rituals, whether someone approaches it spiritually or symbolically. The experience reflects something universal. Human beings have always searched for emotional cleansing. Have you ever noticed it? Not because they are weak, but because emotional exhaustion is real. And honestly, I think many people today are carrying invisible exhaustion while pretending to function normally. So, if some days feel heavier than others, maybe it does not mean you are failing at life. Maybe it means your mind needs slower mornings, more silence, less comparison, deeper rest, gentler environments, or moments of beauty. Because sometimes healing is not dramatic. Sometimes it is walking quietly, watching rain, observing rice fields, drinking tea slowly, hearing birds instead of notifications, or sitting somewhere peaceful long enough for your thoughts to settle. Places cannot solve every emotional struggle, but they can influence emotional energy. Some places tighten the nervous system, some places soften it. And perhaps one of the greatest forms of healing is discovering environments where your mind no longer feels constantly under attack. I think this is why travel can become emotional healing when approached intentionally, not luxury for the sake of appearance. But movement for the sake of emotional renewal. Travel reminds you that life exists outside your stress patterns. It reminds you that there are still slow mornings in the world, still peaceful conversations, still quiet landscapes, still humans creating beauty. And sometimes that reminder alone makes life feel lighter again. So, if you're currently experiencing heavy days, please remember this. You are not weak for feeling emotionally tired. You are human. And healing does not always require dramatic transformation. Sometimes it begins with finding moments, routines, people, or places that help your nervous system breathe again. And maybe that place is good. Or maybe it is simply one peaceful hour in your own day. I'm smiling because whenever it is allow yourself to seek lightness without guilt. So whenever I speak without guilt because not every chapter of life is meant to be survived through pressure alone. Right. So some chapters are meant to be softened through presence. So if you like this video, then please do let me know in the comment section and keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing. This month you can heal and create balance in your life. Thank you so much.